Welcome to Optimal Game State. Video, I'm continuing our monthly look back at the recent releases. The idea here is to appreciate the models that have just come out rather than the next big thing. I'm focusing on what used to be called the box game lines. They can now be found under the other game section on the GW store. As we'll see, that's kind of relevant for this video as January has been mostly focused on the main game lines. First up, we have Blood Bowl, where we had two releases of Resin Special Players. Here we have Grashnak Blackhoof and Skitter Stab Stab. Grashnak is basically an upgraded big guy for any of the teams who can run him. Tons of strength and frenzy, but he does have a negative trait, which means he sometimes just stands there and froths. Skitter Stab Stab is a gutter runner style special player. He's also got stab and shadowing, so he's a bit of an assassin, but more importantly, he's Ag 2+ and move 9, making him a real scoring threat. Over to the Epic line of games, we've got a bunch of restocks. These are Titanicus dice and Titan Legio transfers. The dice are a bit weird. You get some quite nice Titanicus dice in the starter box, so this is just an expensive upgrade to have different colors. That said, the goal of this channel is to have the best possible two-player game that you can, and maybe this kind of upgrade will enhance your experience, even if it's just a tiny bit. So I guess if you like them and you have the money, go for it. We also have the transfers for Knights and Titan iconography. These typically reappear on the store every so often and sell out pretty fast. If you've only got involved with the scale due to Legion Imperialis, I'd recommend checking out some of the Titanicus groups, as they've been doing some amazing paint jobs on their Knights and Titans, and these transfers are a way to help that along. Personally, as a fan of Hell's Reach, I went with Legio Invigilata, who alas do not have transfers or even Titanicus rules. Ho-hum. Over to Necromunda, the only release was the monthly Apocrypha, which has rules for running the corpse grinder cults in the Ash Wastes. It is pretty gory stuff, with cargo trucks full of meat. It's got 4 pages of story, 2 pages of rule, and a 2-page scenario with a rolling roads situation during a meat harvest. I'm not sure I want to know what that is. Similarly to Necromunda, the only release for Warcry was a PDF. We have a ton of new models coming out for Flesh Eater Courts that have just gone up for pre-order, and this rules pack gives profiles for nearly all of the new models, leaving out just a few special characters. This seems to be a new trend, so we've seen it for City of Sigmar, and now we have it for Flesh Eater Corps. Long may it last. I'm super happy to see this, and it gives me an incentive to buy more Age of Sigmar models. In addition to the new profiles, we did have a few of the existing profiles get a update, along with a shift in some of the abilities. Now, at some point I will do an episode on it, but in the meantime, Off Meta Musing has an excellent video, which I'll link in the description, where he goes through all the changes. And that was all the main releases, not really that much. I do want to talk about that in a little bit, but first let's have a quick look at White Dwarf 496. Notable includes in this for us are Scales of War for Warcry, which is a series of 6 battle plans. I do think these are particularly clever as they all intentionally have delayed deployment, so at least one of the battle groups is going to be turn 2, often 2 of the battle groups turn 2. This should make that turn 1 a little bit faster, making the games overall a bit quicker, making this particularly suitable for a tournament or a few games over an evening. In a bit of a surprise, we also have hero cards for Cursed City. These are some of the characters from the new Cities of Sigmar release, and in particular the Command Core box. I do really like this, although I think Cursed City has a great selection of heroes already, and probably could benefit from a few more bad guys than good guys. Still, it is great to see them supporting Cursed City, and hopefully we will see more of it. For Necromunda, there is a scenario with a vertical battlefield. Now, I already struggle to make a horizontal battlefield for Necromunda, so I can't ever see myself using this, but I got to admit, I'd love to see results if someone decides to take this hobby challenge on. And that's everything for this month. Honestly, I've found January kind of refreshing. I typically end up with a big backlog after Christmas, and there wasn't anything for me to buy at all this month. I suspect to a certain extent this was due to January's big release being Warhammer the Old World. This has been headed up by the Specialist Studio, who are also in charge of Blood Bowl and Necromunda and Epic. So it's a decent chunk of the box game lines. We have also seen lots of great previews from LVO, so there are a few things to look forward to in the pipeline, but we'll have to see how fast they appear. GW had a lot of production and warehouse issues at the end of last year, and I suspect they're still being impacted by that. But honestly, getting an email on a Sunday night and discovering that there was nothing I felt I had to get has been a great relief. I've been a lot more interested in releases like the PDFs that open up new game options, either for models I already have or giving me a reason to pick up something that is already in my local store. My recent purchases, in fact, have been the Free Guild Command Core and Scavix Plague Pack, which both mainly were for Warcry since we got the rules for it. Today it is a Sunday morning as I'm recording this, and this evening we'll find out what's up for next Saturday's pre-orders. There's a ton of stuff I would be interested if it was there. That Saviors of Cinderfall box will be an instant buy for me on the assumption that we'll get Warcry rules for it. Although even if we don't, I'll be quite happy painting the models. And I'm looking forward to more Legions Imperialis releases. Now, GW are still on a 2-week release window, so no matter what goes up, it looks like I'll basically have the rest of January to keep working on my backlog. Thanks for making it all the way to the end. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Each week I put up a new video talking about one of Games Workshop's specialist games. The goal is always to try and make the best possible two-player experience. If this is something you'd find interesting, please subscribe to the channel and comment to let me know what you'd like to see in future.